Hello, guys. Welcome to our Empower Hour on Mondays, where we come together every single Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern to bring you some network marketing training, some mindset training, some entrepreneur business, home business related, whatever you want to categorize it as. It's a place where those of us who think a little differently, are doing a little differently, are creating that freedom lifestyle or that dream of that freedom lifestyle or whatever it is that you're working towards, where maybe you don't have a circle of people to hang around that are encouraging you every single day. This is a place where you can come and actually be encouraged and be around a circle of people who are saying, hey, I want to do better, be better, just like you. And how can we collaborate together and share our ideas? And we have industry legends like Izzy and Paul that come and join us and have created massive success here. And we have other people that join us and other guests, and it's going to be a really exciting year. We've got a good lineup of people ready to come in. So my name is Angel Chandler. I've been in the profession for 12 years. Loved it, fell in love with it. It consumed me and became my passion and my hobby. I was a former legal professional for 15 years and turned network marketer and became one of those people. And I'm so happy to be one of those people because when you get in here and you see a difference in your life, what it can do for you, not only just financially, not only just health wise or whatever you're in or whatever industry you're in, it changes you from the inside out. And that's what we see here every single time. I'm going to introduce Paul Capozio. He is a seven-figure earner in the industry. With his first company, came from Wall Street. Didn't come in with the intention of ever doing network marketing, but he's here and he leads an incredible team globally. And so, Paul, I'd love to hear you open up also and share your thoughts on tonight.
Sure. Well, Angel, always a pleasure. Number one. Number two, you are, as Izzy says, an absolute superstar. You've been a gift to us. I've been a gift to the organization. So I really appreciate that. And you are a great trainer. You've written courses and chapters in books and everything. It's just amazing that you've chosen this group. But that's something I want to comment on. If you're watching this, and this is going to be published in a big way, tonight's call. So it's going to reach a lot of people. So I'm going to tell you a story about when I first started in network marketing about just a little under 7 years ago. And they told me, contact network marketers, go on LinkedIn and just start talking to people. And it's exactly what I did. In fact, the very first cold call I ever made was to one of the top network marketers who's still in the business today. It was my very first cold call. You know what was interesting about that guy? He's a top earner in another company, has been for the longest time. Him and his brother are very, very well known. He picked up the phone. But then I made a lot of other calls. And those other calls that I made were people who were LinkedIn professionals, and they were everywhere from real estate agents and stockbrokers and you name it, from every walk of life. And some of them had tried their hand at direct sales, network marketing, affiliate marketing. And one common tale I heard over and over and over again was, Paul, you sound like a really sharp guy. I think you're going to do really well. But let me tell you about my experience. I came in, I bought this kit for $600 from this guy who stood up in the front of the room with a really fancy tie on, and everybody got all excited. And I never heard from the guy again. Or if I did hear from the guy, I brought him a couple of contacts and he said, these are not the kind of people I want you to be bringing to me. Go find real people. Otherwise, don't bother me anymore. And the funny thing is, he never told the guy what was the right person for the business. So if you're watching this and you're struggling, or you don't have the support, or maybe your upline is busy, or maybe you're stumbling so much that you're kind of fell off someone's radar because they have to do time management. Maybe they're so busy or they're struggling so much that they don't have time or don't have the skill set for you. So there's always a reason. It's not, don't always take it personally, but we want you to be able to come here. We don't talk about the company that we're in. We don't try to sell our product. In fact, people on here from completely different companies. My buddy Izzy is the master distributor of a completely different company that I'm in. Right? So the point is, we want to give you real stuff to improve the nature of the industry. Right? Now, you may hear Izzy speak and say, oh my God, this is a guy I want to follow. Go right ahead. If we can give you success, if we can guide you in the right direction, I believe, and everyone on this call believes in the abundance mindset. And what the abundance mindset is, if I lend you my garden hose, right? I may get it paid back where my daughter gets a flat tire and some guy pulls over this, or who helps change her tire for her. Right? So it's not always quid pro quo. It's not always I do you a favor, so you're going to one day do me a favor. You never know how that's going to be paid back. And that's how the law of attraction and the abundance mindset works. So that's what we're trying to do here. We help you and you have nothing to do with us. Trust me, we're going to get paid back tenfold. But so will you when you start sharing. So Angel, I'm going to pass it back to you. And I guess we'll get started. We got a really good panel here tonight.
Sorry, I was talking and I was muted. We have a great topic of conversation tonight, guys. I really think this is something that's going to help you. Can you see my screen? Are we good?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to be talking about conversation. And I think the biggest part of network marketing, or the biggest part of sales, the biggest part of anything, if you're doing something for yourself, if you've got a product to sell, if you've got a team to build, if you're doing anything, conversation is key. And so this is Mastering the Art of Conversation, the 5 Proven Starters and 25 Strategies to Keep Dialogues Engaging. I'm actually going to pass it to you first, Paul. You've disappeared. Conversation starters, and you would you created this whole slide here. Let's talk about that first, because I think people need to first know how to engage in a conversation, not be awkward, not be weird. How can you actually talk to somebody? But it is, for all of us who call ourselves introverts but are building this business, you have to be extroverted. You have to push yourself that little extra mile to start those conversations. So I'd love to hear you share on this slide.
Well, think about it. If you're the type of person, right, who, is an introvert, but yet you lose your wallet in the New York City subway and you need to get home and you need to borrow $5 from someone, you're gonna automatically, because you want to get home and it's 2:00 in the morning, you'll see how fast you could start talking to people. And it's probably that one of the most difficult situations to be in. But sometimes we need to be put into a crisis to be able to get us out of our comfort zone. And I'm sure being broke in the New York City subway is really out of a lot of people's comfort zone. The other thing is, everybody has trouble starting conversations, or feel they have trouble, or don't know what to say, but context is important. So think about where you are. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. My son has developmental disabilities, and sometimes one of his biggest challenges, even though he's a very brilliant kid and he's very good at math, and he'll sometimes be socially awkward sometimes, where his conversations will be completely irrelevant to the topic that everyone else is talking about. Believe it or not, we all have that switch in our brain, right? Because we're thinking about something that interests us, and we go into a group of people and we want to talk about daisies because we're gardeners, and everyone else is talking about politics. So if we walked into a crowd of people that are talking about politics and we said, "Wait, what do you think of the Gerber daisy?" They're going to think you're nuts. So context is very important. Right? But the other thing is, when you're talking to people, where are you and what you're doing, right? The venue, the place that you are is going to dictate what you're going to say, but it's also going to dictate the reception that you get from that person. Put yourself in situations that people are there for a specific reason. So when you talk about that specific reason, you have an automatic yes, you have an automatic license to have that conversation with anyone, right? This is not going up to a woman or a man in a bar and starting a cold conversation. If you're at a networking event, people are there to network, right? And you want to know what's going to bring them there. Hey, what brings you to this event? Or I'm here to network. Now, here's the deal. What I've always done in networking events or social gatherings is, listen, it's great to meet you. I just want to let you know, let's get to know each other. My Rolodex is a very old term. My Rolodex is your Rolodex. I don't know if there's anybody in my LinkedIn profile that you may want to meet, but I'd be more than happy to connect and facilitate that. Create value in conversations. It's not, hey, here's my new product and you really got to try it, right? It's not a sales opportunity. People do business with people they like, know, and trust. Get people like, know, and trust you. And the way you're going to do this is conversations, right? It's going to be different in a cafe or a Starbucks, right? Than it would be at, let's say, someone's dinner party, and it would be at a networking event. Networking events are easy. Are you going to networking events? Most of you aren't. Most of you are not finding those Le Tips or these other the other places to go where people are doing business, right? People would say that. Well, I don't want to get into. I don't want to go too deep down this rabbit hole, but I got some really good stuff. Maybe we'll do it a little bit later. But if you're at a Starbucks, right? If someone's writing a book, ask them about it, because a lot of people go to Starbucks to write books. They're writing the next great novel, right? The next Hemingway is sitting there at your local Starbucks. Or that pink drink that they're drinking. What is that? I don't drink a pink drink. I drink hot coffee. I don't even drink iced coffee, guys. I order hot coffee black. When I'm really going to splurge, I put a little bit of milk in it. There's my conversation. Oh my God, what's the pink drink? Because I've been drinking hot coffee with a little bit of milk or black my entire life. And you know, I could live vicariously through you with your pink drink. So I don't want to give you specifics. I hate scripts, guys, because if you try to do a script in a cold conversation, you're going to sound like an idiot. Be natural, be yourself, but put yourself in these situations where people are going to be open to talking to you. Angel, back to you.
I love that. But you do drink out of pink mugs.
A pink mug, yes. And there's a hydration drink in here.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, we're going to talk
No,
about
the pink drink. Isn't that funny? I'm talking about, well, Starbucks is known for this pink drink, or so they call it the pink drink or something like that.
Yeah, Ashley gets it all the time, my daughter.
Does she? Yeah, so does Courtney.
Yeah. So, you know, when you were talking about this, I thought about, and this is kind of a little bit off topic, but isn't it funny how we'll do it for somebody else, but not for ourselves? And I'm thinking back to when I was a paralegal, working for attorneys. It was real estate law. Whenever I was out, if I was mingling with real estate agents or anybody in real estate or anybody looking for a home, it was so easy to have those conversations and say, hey, I work for these attorneys. When you're ready to go, like, let's connect, or hey, I need to connect you to the attorney that I work with, or you should refer your business here. We're one of the top firms in the city, or the top firm in the city. Like, it was so easy for somebody else's business, which I took very seriously, to be able to refer and have those conversations and start those conversations based on a common interest, a common ground that we both had, real estate or whatever, right? Where you can have that and share what you do. It's so funny when we're in network marketing, how awkward we become to start to have just normal everyday conversations that don't even necessarily need to lead into anything to do with business. It is just being a human being. And we're like, oh, I'm so weird. Izzy, what is your take on that? Because you're an expert at this and you're an expert at conversations.
You know what? This is my favorite topic. And I drive my wife and friends crazy. We were in Cancun a couple of months back, and my friend said, there goes Izzy talking to strangers again. I like to go outside the box. Paul knows I'm a watch guy. So when I meet people, I look for what watches they have, and I compliment the watch because they're not expecting that. And that generates a whole conversation. You know, wow, I don't know what that watch is, but I love it. What is it? If you approach people outside the box, they open up. You know, and I don't care if it's a watch. I might love their glasses. I'm in the market for new glasses. I love those transparent ones. They look great on you. Wow, those shoes are awesome. I've been looking for something just like that. The minute you go outside the box, people's defenses go down because they're not expecting it. And it edifies them. It shows that you value something about them, which is something they don't normally get. So it's like watching an oyster open up, and they show you their pearl, and all you have to do is cultivate the pearl and go in and pick it. So, you know, find something about them that is unique and compliment them. If you're on a Starbucks line and somebody ahead of you orders something unique, as Paul does, you know, make it a conversation about that. Wow, I never thought to order that. What does that taste like? How did you find out about that? And let the conversation flow from there. And again, you know, Angel, you just said it. Don't have an ulterior motive. Make it about just meeting people. Meet as many people as you can. Have your cards with you and say, you know, I don't meet people a lot like you. Here's my card. Do you have anything we can stay in touch with? You open up the door. Be different. Be bold. and let the conversation flow naturally from there. I have a lot of fun with this. I really do.
I love that. I'm writing that down. I don't meet people like you a lot or a lot like you. That is good.
Yeah,
That
I
is
get that a lot. People tell me that I don't meet someone like you. I'll see you later. Bye. And they go, that's okay. I don't mind.
no,
I'm not looking for everybody. I'm just looking for somebody.
somebody, exactly. And I think that the whole complimenting, noticing something about somebody, like you said, the glasses, the shoes, the watches, people are wearing those things and doing those things. You don't put something on to hope that you don't look good, right?
Exactly.
You want people to notice those things. So when somebody does, it's like you do a double take. Or how many of us go out feeling like we don't look our best, and then all of a sudden somebody compliments us and it's like, whoa, what did you just say? Like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. Like,
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
Angel, one more thing, guys. Don't be afraid to usher a compliment to someone, especially a stranger. That may be the only kind word or kind thing they've heard in a while. And that one kind item, like Paul says, it's karma. It can be life-changing. It can change the trajectory of their day, the trajectory of their life, and that'll come back to you. So while you're out there prospecting, try to make somebody smile. The payoff is tremendous. You'll see.
Exactly. That karma is perfect. So we're gonna start talking now, guys, about 25 strategies to keep dialogue engaging. Will we get through all 25? Only we will find out by the end. But of course, the first thing is to introduce yourself and say hello. We just talked about that, right? Like, how do you just break that barrier of just, like, that energy is there. You want to say hello. That it's just a very simple act. Just do it. Take risks and anticipate success. This one I want to kind of pause on for a second and hear from some people here, because when you anticipate that something's going to go well, and when you push yourself over an awkward feeling that we were talking about I don't want to do this, but I know I should, and I know that the payoff will be good, and I know that the more that I do this, and just like Izzy said, every conversation may not go so well, every conversation may not be perfect, but you know that the more you do this, the more rewards you're going to have, and the more action you're taking towards the goal that you want to have, right? So Peg, you want to talk on this about that action of just being like, this is going to be fine. This is going to be great. This is exactly what I need to do. This is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's a good topic for me, Angel. Thank you, because it's been a difficult topic all my life, right? I have been the introvert. I've been the person who forgets to introduce themselves, right? It's there's the adage, be interested and not interesting, and that was always very easy for me, right? Taking that extra step when you are introducing yourself to someone, and anticipating success. I really like that. I think it's really important because you give that energy off, right? If you have that, oh, I'm afraid to do this energy, that's not as attractive as that confidence. So I think sometimes I'll go into a situation, say if it's a networking event, and I'll try and think of 2 words that I want people to take away about me, whether it be confidence or openness or curiosity, and just I'll say those 2 words to myself so that I can kind of relax and forget about how I'm coming across, and then turn around and be interested in them, and listen, right? And I love what Izzy and Paul were talking about too, about being interested enough to not just say, I love your shoes, but taking it another step, right? Because somebody will turn around and go, oh, yeah, thanks, and then you go your separate ways. But hey, I love those shoes. I've been looking for something just like that. That takes a little bit of anticipating success. So I really like that.
You're so right. And we're going to take that a step further right at the end too, with the call to action of what we're going to have here for today, about how do you take that little bit of a conversation to the next level, right? How do you take that step? And I have an example of a girl on the airplane on the way home from Jamaica who did exactly that. Just took that extra step. don't forget your sense of humor. Let the natural person in you come out when talking to others. And again, that's the don't overthink it, right? The be yourself. Don't be afraid to let your character come through. A lot of times we're so concerned about not letting ourselves show, or not letting our goofy side, or not letting our maybe not always professional side show, but that's really the true you that people are going to identify with. Paul, what do you think about this? Because I know you're like a genuine example of somebody in the profession who you're just yourself. And it's like people, you say people either love you or hate you. I don't know anybody who's ever hated you. So, yeah, like you're just yourself. You're the guy from Jersey who's from Wall Street and network marketing. So how do you let that true self shine through in conversations?
Everything else is just too complicated for me. It's just too hard to put up a front or try to pretend to be somebody or whatever. Or, one time I got some really bad advice about when I public speak to change my voice and not sound so Jersey and not sound so, not have an accent and just be different to offset the looks that I have, right? Which are very New Jersey, very soprano-y, right? So that was the worst advice I ever received. And it was for somebody who really just wanted to hear themselves talk and really felt that it was their impression of me that bothered them. So no, I don't think people hate me, but I do think people have an issue, or because I don't gauge, sometimes I dim my light, but when you don't do that, you're going to evoke some feelings in people. It's a competitive nature. And some people, when they're competitive, don't want to win on their own merit. They want to try to take you down instead of them really being successful. Instead of, well, I don't want to raise my game, so let me try to take his game down. So there's so many dynamics there, and we can get into that in other trainings. But I want to get back to the anticipation of success, which is basically marry the process and divorce yourself from the outcome. So many of you are so outcome focused with every conversation, with every post, with every social media, with every meeting you have. Everything you're doing, you're so outcome focused that you're completely ignoring the process. And that process is developing that relationship, developing that micro rapport, and going through that 5-step process so that when you do get to the exposure stage, then we're going back to our 5-step process, 5/5, is that when you get to the exposure stage, people are going to really want to watch and listen to what you're doing. So the key is divorce yourself from the outcome. Stop thinking about the outcome. Let the process happen naturally, and you'll get there, right? I told my mom years ago, I was in my early 20s, like, Mom, how do you know you're in love? How do you know somebody's the right person? And they say, you just know. You just know, right? And then if anybody's ever fallen in love, you just know. You're like, what the hell, right? It's so different than what you thought it was. So that's it, Angel. I'm sorry. I don't want to take too much time.
No, you're so right. 100%. And I think when you just said that, I actually wrote down when you said that the impression of you bothered them. And I think there's a whole training in that we should do on another Empower Hour, because we need to be very conscious of who we're also listening to for that kind of advice, right? Where if you're bothering somebody and it's triggering something in them to tell you to change who you are, when who you are is who you need to be, that's a whole other thing. So ask a person's name we're going to get through these quickly here if we can. Ask a person's name if you've forgotten it. Paul and I were both talking. I'm a name forgetter. And so I would be like, hey, I am so sorry. I know you told me your name. I do not remember it at all. I'm one of those people. Can you tell me again? I'm so sorry. I know this is like, I don't mean to insult you. It's just who I am, but I want to get to know you more. And what is your name, right? I think that's a little bit, if somebody does that to me, I'm like, oh, no problem. Like it's an easy way. Paul, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you said that about yourself too.
Yeah, and I want to go to Peg, and I want to go to some
Yeah,
other people
yeah.
listening too. So really quickly, this is a great way to use self-depreciating humor, which you just said, Angel. Oh my God, I'm that person who always forgets names. But it's a great way when you see somebody and you don't remember that name. What most people do is not approach that. But you're at a dinner party. Oh
Yeah.
my God, what's this guy's name? What's his wife's name? I can't remember his wife's name. Instead of looking the other way or avoiding making eye contact, that's your trigger. That's your clue to go right in there and say, guys, I'm really sorry. Mark, I know, I forgot your wife's name and I wanted to come and talk to you guys. I didn't want to try to avoid you guys, but I forgot your wife's name, right? And then she'll go, oh, Dolores. That's a Seinfeld reference, by the way.
Peg, I would love for you to take the next one. Tell people about your life events and don't wait for them to ask. You've had some major life events with your daughter's wedding and going to Dominican for that and being there for 3 weeks. How are you sharing what you're going through with your life and stuff like that? How in conversations are you bringing that up first? Like not waiting for people to ask and more being like, oh my gosh, I just did this, and bringing that into conversation, because a lot of people won't ask, right? They're waiting for you to take that first step. And so this is a first step that's needed.
So I do a lot of sharing about my life events and social media, right? So that's been a great way for me to, or people already know, so I can bring it up that way, or, just say, oh, the wedding was crazy. I'll use the wedding for an example, because that's been my big thing recently, right? I'll bring it up in a way, I want to steer it in a way that can start a conversation that can open things up in them too, right? So I'll particularly for me, I'll say how crazy life is such a whirlwind, and what we've just been through is the wedding, and it was so beautiful, and I'm so happy for them, and what's going on with you. I don't want to go into the whole thing about me, because I don't want, I want to get into what's going on with you. Like what's important to you right now? What's coming up? What are your plans? So that has been the wedding has been a fun thing to introduce, and the trip the trip we just went on to Jamaica. That's another, I'd never been to Jamaica before. Have you been there? Right? It's so easy to give these life events and then try and relate something to their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, let's get on to the next topics here. So we've got demonstrate your listening by restating their comments in your own way. And I've been talking, I'm sure all of us have been in conversations with people that do this the total wrong way, where it's just like, oh, you're not really listening. You're only listening to take the conversation in a step that you want to take it in, right? But if you're genuinely listening and restating those things and being like, so if I understand this is what you're looking for, if I understand this is what you've done, or oh my gosh, it's so amazing that Peg, you got to go to Jamaica and you had your daughter's wedding in Dominican Republic. What an incredible 2024 you've already had. Like, you must feel amazing, right? Izzy, what are your thoughts on that and restating comments in conversations?
Have to unmute myself so I can make my comments about these things. It basically shows interest. It shows that you're paying attention. Most of us listen to respond to, most of us listen in anticipation of what we're going to say, not listening to what they're saying. So they're rambling on and we're on to the next topic that we want to get across. Restating what they're saying basically says that you're engaged in the moment, and I think that's huge. People don't get listened to. We all get ignored. If we're married, we know what being ignored is. That's not good.
That was really good. Another way to do it, guys, an easy way to develop that skill is to just take notes when somebody's talking. Just make little notes as they're talking. It'll keep you focused on what they're saying instead of you trying to formulate what your response is going to be. Because when those of you are saying, well, how do I get around to the business, or you want to kind of get it around to your product, if you're making notes, it keeps you from doing that and keeps you focused.
Hey, Paul?
Or, yes.
Business Week just put out an article last week about the most gifted conversationalists, and it's timely for this. And the bottom line is, the most gifted conversationalist never talks about themselves. They use 3 words constantly. Tell me more. Tell me more about that. How about this? How about that? You can engage in a conversation for an hour. Never say a word about yourself, but you're going to wind up being the best person they ever met.
Absolutely, without a doubt, without a doubt. I mean, there are times when So I want to comment on that because in our business, you really want to do that because the people are expecting you, especially when they know there's a pitch coming or they know, and that doesn't mean they don't want to hear it. In a normal conversation, though, there's got to be a little bit of a tennis match, right? But your goal in this tennis match is to not keep that ball on your side of the court for very long. You really don't. You want to hit it, like get it out of your court, you know what I mean, to them. And then when they hit it back to you, you want a high lob, that they're talking, and then boom, you hit it right back again. And they got to hit the ball back to you and they do a high lob. So try to make sure that you keep the ball on their side of the court conversationally as long as you possibly can. Angel, you want me to go to the next one?
Sure.
Go out of your way to meet new people. So give somebody, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to everyone. Everyone. Starting with Diane. Diane, give me an example of some time when you went out of, maybe it was meeting your husband. Well, I know you guys kind of got set up or whatever, but tell me somewhere where you went out of your way to try to meet somebody, even if it failed miserably. Give me an example of going out of your way to meet new people. And it doesn't have to be with the business, just as with people. Anything come to mind?
Yes, I was actually in the prosthetic doctor's office, and there was a woman that was sitting there, and you can tell by somebody's aura how they're feeling. And I could tell she was low. So I started a conversation with her. Turns out that she has been an amputee for almost 2 years. And still hasn't progressed to the point where she could do stairs and things like that. So I started talking with her. I gave her my number and I told her if there's any way I can help her, call me. I'd be glad to help her in any way I can. So that's one instance I went out of my way to talk to someone.
No, that's awesome. That's perfect. That's really good. Rochelle, it could be business. It could be anything. There's no right or wrong.
I hardly ever go to Starbucks, but there's one by my office and it was early in the morning. I think I ran into the office to go get something. So I walked down to Starbucks, grabbed a coffee, and there was a group of, I don't remember, 4 or 5 ladies standing out on the corner. So I just went up to them and I said, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You look like you're getting to go ready to go somewhere or something." And they said, "Yeah, we do the walk down through the park every Thursday. You should come and do it with us sometime." So that was pretty easy.
Awesome. All right, so Peg and Izzy, we're going to bypass you guys because that's the way you show up in my screen because you guys are commenting. We'll go to Danny. Danny's here now too, so Angel, we could go to Danny for some slides, and then we'll go to Danny real quick. Danny, a way that you went out of your way to meet new people.
It's something that I do a lot, and it's playing golf. But there's a couple times where we've had.
You're breaking up, bro.
It's all business people. Can you
All right, Danny, I'll come back to you. Are you driving?
back? Yeah.
All right, we'll come back. We'll go to John Burton, and then we'll come back to Anna. Just let me know. Just flash your mic if you want to let me know if you want to comment or not. No one's obligated.
Okay, can you hear me? Because it's kind of loud in here. I want to make sure it's good. So last Thursday, I like to approach Black people that I hear have a certain accent that might be from Africa. So last Thursday, I saw a couple of tall gentlemen, and I went over to them and I said, "Hey, man, where are you guys from?" He said, "Jamaica." I was like, "You're kidding." I said, "Our company just got back from an incentive trip." He goes, "What part?" I said, "Montego Bay." He says, "I live 3.5 hours from there." I said, he goes, "Did you have fun?" I said, "Of course we had fun, man. We had a great fun." I'll tell you what the most fun we had. I told him about our UCare program, and he was so proud. He said, "Thank you for helping my country." And so, I guess I like to go out because a lot of the Black people that I come up to that are from Africa, they're always from Nigeria. And I always like to talk to them about Nigeria and how we're trying to move into there. So it was just a wonderful time. And I said, "Hey, you guys going to be around tomorrow?" And they said, "Yeah, most likely." I said, "Let me get your number. I'm going to tell you the reason why we were there." And then they came the next day, and I had, Paul, you saw I had a bunch of those African bead bracelets, and I said, here's some Jamaican flag hat pins I had left over, and they were just as happy as it can be. And it just makes you feel really good because you're exercising that part of your brain to reach out instead of staying reclusive when you're like, I don't know if I should say hi. So I always make it a point to try to do that.
Very good. Danny, you want to try?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So as I was saying, I do it all the time when I go play golf because it gives me a time to meet people. Yes, I like playing golf, but I'll go out and book a single myself and get paired with other people. But where I live, they've done a couple mixers with businesses, owners in town and stuff. And I'm kind of a shy guy to go up and meet people, but I pushed myself to go to these mixers to get involved with the businesses, but to get to meet people, find out what they do, and get them to obviously ask me what I do. And I'm always sharing my MLM background and business to them. So if I could say one thing, if you're shy, you have to go out and do it. And it only takes once you break that code of shyness, that makes it easy after that. There you go. Back to you.
No problem. Okay, so we have Anna, Amanda, Graham, and Lynn. Does anybody want to share? We can't see your faces, so I don't know if you want to share or not. So if you do, just unmute. And then Izzy's got a story. I hope it's dirty. I hope it's dirty, for crying out loud. All right, anybody? No? Going once? Going twice? Come on, Izzy, share the story.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead, Lynn. All right, good. Lynn Laporte.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It'll be quick. I went way outside my comfort zone and I roomed at a convention with a stranger. When I went to the International Skin and Massage Competition where I was a judge in March, and I was reluctant to do it, and I won't do it again. But I did meet a lot of people at that competition, and I am going to be a judge again in March. So I look forward to connecting, collaborating with a lot more people in the industry.
Well, Lynn, let's talk about that. That may not be. I mean, look, what I like about that is that's way, 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 way outside anyone's comfort zone, right? And it could have went the other way. You could have wound up developing the next best friend. So if Lynn can room with someone for whatever the reasons were, economic, shorter on rooms, whatever it may be, she did it. So if she can do that, you guys can meet somebody new. If she could room with somebody, a complete stranger at a convention, you can go up to somebody at a Starbucks. You can go up to somebody in the supermarket. How about just helping somebody? All right, being a tall guy, getting the spaghetti from the top shelf for people in the supermarket or any one of those things, right? So go on. Izzy, we're going to you.
Right. I don't suggest anyone do what I did, but in the very beginning of my career, I was rather introverted. I'm still very shy, for those of you that don't know. So I needed to get out of the box. I happened to drive at the time a very unique car. I think Paul knows what it is. And in order to meet new people, what I used to do is I would drive on the highway and pull over to the side of the road and lift the hood of the car. And I'd wait leaning against the car for people to pull up, and they go, "Are you in trouble?" I go, "No." Says, "Do you need help?" "No." "Why are you standing here?" "I'm waiting for someone like you that loves to help people, because that's the kind of people I'm looking for." And I'd start the conversation that way. They'd ask to look at the car, and that would get the ball rolling. But asking for help under the most unique circumstances, now I wouldn't suggest this in New York City because they might either mug you or take the car. But most of you live in nice places. It can work.
Very interesting. Very good. Okay, so Angel, we're going to go back to you now, and unless you want me to handle the individual and then you handle the last two. What do you want to do?
All right, go for it.
So this is a tough one, guys, because we live in an era now where people's right to be an individual has really gone to an extreme, right? I remember in the 80s when punk rock was there, and if you saw the occasional stiff hairsprayed mohawk or the purple hair or whatever, right? And that's somebody's right to be an individual. Today, there's so many variations on that. And it becomes, I think, difficult, not because of your acceptance. Now, if you are someone who is not tolerant, this conversation is not for you, right? But if you are a tolerant person, the challenge with accepting someone's right to be an individual is in many times their approach, right? I've seen certain activists actually go on the attack before they even say the word hello. But if you accept someone's right to be an individual, you're going to have a much easier way to start a conversation. Go out of your way to accept their right. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to participate in it, but you should be accepting of it unless it does something to you that is in a negative context, okay? So today, accepting a person's right to be an individual in a training is a little bit more difficult, and you have to be a little bit more tactful than ever. But what would you think of the first blue-haired, transgender diamond ambassador of New You Life? It would probably be a pretty cool thing, right? So how are you going to get that if you're not accepting of somebody's right to be an individual, right? So that's a tough one, because I think that it's our own prejudice or our own judgment that stops us from that. Now, I'm going to dial it back now because I went to the extreme. But how about now dial it all the way back on just accepting someone's right to say they're a Republican or a Democrat, right? Even that's been more controversial today, but if you could just dial it back to a point where it becomes easy for you, and then eventually you'll learn how to be a more accepting person, right? We started, small steps, right? Little small steps, and you'll see the world a completely different way. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. It doesn't mean you tolerate someone's intolerance of you. But when everyone is tolerant, it's a really good situation. It's a really, really good situation, right? Okay. Include everyone in the group in the conversation whenever possible. How many of you have talked to a group of people and the person you really thought you were going to recruit? This happened in Utah, actually, where I was talking to a group of people, right? And there was a guy there who was a little odd. He was a little odd, and he wasn't in the business yet. And I didn't know he wasn't in the business yet. And we're just talking, and I'm talking to everybody else in the group but this guy, because he seemed a little odd. And this is, going back to the acceptance thing. And he came out of his way and said, well, I want to do this. I want to join this. I've never. Danny, you know what I'm talking about? That doctor dude?
Yeah, as soon as you
Right?
started talking about it, yes, 100%.
Yeah, you knew, right? You knew. I'm just trying to keep it, whatever. But include everyone in the group in the conversation whenever possible, because that person that you don't think is the person is the person. Go ahead, Danny.
It's funny because when I signed him up, you weren't around, but I felt the same way. This guy's kind of different, but you know what? This is how life is. I don't judge anybody. I will pre-qualify them. All right. And I didn't prejudge him because he was out there, but in his own way. And there was nothing, that's just who he was. And then when he was ready to want to sign up, want some product, I didn't have a problem asking him for his credit card and signed him up. So
you don't have a problem asking anybody for that credit card, Danny.
Hell no.
No, I'm kidding. All right, let's do the last one really quick so we can go to the next slide. I'm going to hand it back to Angel. So be able to tell each other in a few short sentences what you do. Guys, what I've been saying for years, your 2-minute story. Be able to tell your 2-minute story backwards, forwards, from the middle to the end. Start from the end, and end at the beginning. Start at the beginning, stop it halfway through. Start in the middle, work your way out to the other two ends. Your 2-minute story, be able to tell it, and then say, what about you? Something that we learned on some Dr. Doug's calls when he talks about brag about yourself. Well, let me tell you something. I use the brag about yourself thing a lot now, and it really, really works. Get people to talk about themselves. Angel, let's go to the next slide.
All right, so reintroduce yourself to people who may have forgotten you. And this is actually something that in my early days of network marketing, I really did. I've shared a lot the story of, making sure that I was front and center in people's world and I was learning from them and I wanted to absorb everything I possibly could. I was paying for their courses, but I also wanted them to notice me. It's one thing to buy a course from somebody, but do they even know you're there? And it wasn't a strategy for me. It's just who I am. It's like, it's if you're an overachiever kind of person, that's just who you are, where you want to get to know the person and you want them to know how appreciative you are. So reintroduce yourself. If you have introduced yourself to somebody that you know could be great for your business, or a top network marketer that you'd love to have that conversation with, or somebody where you'd love to go to Paul and be like, I've got this guy. He's in this other company. He's a really big earner. I'd love to just get you on a call with him. If there's somebody like that that you've already started conversations with, how can you go back and say, hey, I just did that this week. I had connected with a couple of people that I had wanted to talk to further. Neither of them responded to me. And I went back and I did the reintroduce, and I was responded to by both of them within 2 hours. And they're in Australia, each of them. So do that. Go back and say, hey, just wanted to touch base again. I don't know if, if you saw my last message, or if you saw my last comment on your post or anything, or just say, hey, my name's Lynn. I want to just, first of all, say thank you for all the value you put out there. This is how it's changed my life. If you can give somebody who's given you value a reason why it's changed your life, you're going to have their attention immediately, because that's exactly why people do the things that we do. We do it to impact others' lives. As soon as somebody says to me, because of you, I had this result, you've got my attention, right? Then I'm going, oh my gosh, like this isn't just a conversation where you want something from me, you're telling me what I've been able to give to you. So use that in conversations. And I don't mean use it, I make it genuine. It's got to be genuine, but don't be afraid to. I think that when I first started, this is when the Ray Higdons and the Eric Worres and all of those people were just starting to rise, right? And so they had this celebrity status and they were untouchable, and I was brand new. I didn't know that, right? So I was just like, boom, boom, boom. I'm having conversations with these people, and I became recognized by those types of people because I wasn't scared to reintroduce myself and say, here I am, here's how I shine, here's what I have to give. Here's what you've done for me. Here's what I'm learning from you. Can you help me with this, right? Like those conversations, it's just normal human conversations. Make an effort to help people if you can, of course. In conversations, we're not looking to always recruit. We're not looking to always see how it benefits us. If you go into every conversation with, how can I benefit this person's life better? Whether or not that's you maybe asking them to take a look at your product, your business, or, hey, you said this and I know this person, just like Paul said earlier, right? Who can you open up your Rolodex to? Who can you say, hey, you said this and I know this person and they're in this business and I think you guys would be a great connection, right? And Paul and Izzy do that all the time. I know these two do it all the time. They refer to each other because they're not afraid to say, hey, I'm not the right one for you, but I know somebody who is. Be enthusiastic about other people's interests. I think that's huge. Knowing what other people love and being excited about that is key. Peg, I'd love to have you come out, or if I can't see anybody's faces right now, but Peg, I'd love to hear you share that, because you're building an incredible team right now. You've got women joining you like crazy. And I know that you show a genuine interest in other people's interests, and that's why they join you and that's why they find you. So I'd love to hear you speak on that. And even
Sure
the
thing.
next couple of points, Peg, go ahead.
Okay, well, thank you, Angel. And it's interesting because, being interested in other people and the topic of being open to other people being different. The first note I took on this presentation was when you said that we think a little differently, right? We want people to think a little differently. So we do meet the most interesting people, I think, and being interested in other people. It's, again, it's being interested, not being interesting, right? So paying attention to what other people are doing, listening, and just bouncing it back to them. And if you can relate, if it's something that you can relate to, oh my gosh, I've done that. I've felt that. This is the way it made me feel. This is how rewarding it was. This is how scary that was, whatever the case may be. Or if it's nothing that you can relate to, maybe you know someone. I work with this woman, Angel, who's been through that very same thing. right? This is the way it made, this is what happened to her. Did you experience that too? Just, that's getting deeper into that conversation, diving deeper into what they're experiencing, helping them to bring up the emotion on the topic, right? It's not just an interest. Sometimes there's a really strong emotion and you can appeal to people's emotions there. So the next one, being able to speak about a variety of subjects and interests, I think this is great. It's what I've gone back to reading paper books. I tried to Kindle forever, and it just really didn't work for me because I like to highlight and underline. And as I'm reading, I'm thinking, oh, this is something really great to share with this person or share with that person, or it'd be great topic for social media content. So being able to have things in your head that when you do need to change the subject, right? This is, you've got something to go to, and we're seeing someone reading a book that's something that you would be interested in, right? It's I think it's really, really valuable. I love learning things and finding other people who also love to learn. That's who we want to work with, right?
Absolutely.
I want to comment on that really quick because it's something I really, really pride myself on, is that the ability to speak on a lot of different subjects and interests. And let me tell you how I do it. I don't really look at Facebook so much to learn anything, but I'll be on Twitter or I'll watch the Discovery Channel, or I'm more of a documentary guy. I love movies, don't get me wrong. I like movie quotes, things like that. But I love documentaries. So get to the point where you're gathering information on a regular basis that interests you, but on a wide variety of topics. And so you can talk about it, be a conversationalist, and you don't have to say, I saw this on the Discovery Channel last night. That's one way to do it. But when somebody, like Peg, you've seen me on three-way calls, right? Or just, oh my God, yeah, oh, you're into that? Oh, by the way, what about that? And you'll bring up the topic like, oh yeah, I don't know, the zebra can jump, whatever. Like, I can't even do it without the stimulus, right? I need the stimulus of the conversation to trigger what my response is going to be. But if the information's in there and you have that recall, sometimes you'll see me when I go up and to the right, when I'm like bringing my eyes up and to the right, I'm recalling that in my memory. Rochelle, you're jumping out of your skin. Sounds like you got something good.
Did you see the documentary about the octopus?
Oh my God, my octopus friend, or what? Oh my God,
Yes.
the greatest thing.
Yeah,
I gotta
that
send you
was-
this one where this octopus just smacks a fish in the face, like for no reason too. But my octopus friend, or my friend, whatever it may,
Yeah.
probably the greatest documentary. And check this out. I'm watching it. Alexi is into that stuff too, big time. I'm texting him. I'm like, dude, you got to see this octopus. He goes, you're not going to believe this. I'm watching it right now. We were watching it at the same time. It was the greatest thing. Greatest thing. Yeah,
Oh, that was awesome.
he's my variety of subject and interest buddy, that way. Yeah, Rochelle,
Paul,
absolutely
that octopus was from Staten Island.
great. Was he? The one that smacked the other one in the face. I gotta send you. I said it to Alexei. So, oh my God, what a dick this octopus is. He literally is just sitting in a little cave. A fish comes up and he puts one arm out and smacks him right in the face. It was great. It was great. He was from Staten Island. Originally from Brooklyn. He moved from Brooklyn to Staten Island. He's going to be in Jersey soon. That seems to be the exodus.
The one from Brooklyn, Paul, are the three pigeons. Two of them grabbed the one pigeon, throw it in front of the train. He said, no, I don't want your opportunity. That's how they deal with it.
That's how they deal with it. I think we may start trying that. Look, I've tried everything. I might as well try that. Okay, Peg, go ahead. Take us out for the last one, because I think we're done. We got 4 minutes left. There is the gel and tell. I think I want to keep this, Angel. We'll end it here so we can do next week, and we'll have a really good recording.
So the last one here, visually show others that you're enjoying your time and your conversation. There's nothing worse than talking to someone and they're looking over your head or over your shoulder to what else is going on in the room and who's the next person they can talk to, right? Tune into the person that you're talking to. You're there, enjoy the conversation. And and let them do most of the talking, right? And like we said, like Paul said, lob it, let them lob it back over and shoot it right back to them, and make that eye contact, right? Don't be looking away. Don't be looking to see who can I talk to next. Really stay engaged with that person. It's really hugely important.
Peg, you said something really good with that. There's a way that people work a room and they're trying to figure out who they're going to talk to, and they literally look over your shoulder and it's just, Angel, what do you think? You think we should go through it?
No, we can save
Oh.
the other 10 for next week. I
And
just
I
think,
got 2 slides of my own that I was going to bring on too, because I want to
right.
give them.
And so I think
marketing
we
plan.
do those 2 with your 2 slides, but I think we do talk about the CTA, and
Well,
we'll do
we're
it.
gonna hand it back to you.
But I just cut you right off.
It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. And you didn't go.
No.
But go ahead. Take us out to a call to action.
I was just curious how many more points we had, and we still had 10. So we'll do those 10 with your couple of slides next week. I think we continue this conversation, and then the next week is going to be how to rank advance in the summer. Where we're
Right.
going to do a whole training on that as well. So definitely stay engaged with us. Invite your people, invite people and just say, "Come, guys! Like this was so valuable." We were talking
Angel,
today.
you know what? Hold on. I'm gonna make an executive decision here.
All right.
Myself, Peg, you, Danny, Izzy, you're more than welcome. We'll pick a day this week that we're going to get on and we're going to finish these slides without an audience. We're going to finish the whole thing. We're going to put this all together in one video. I'm going to make it available on Lion Pride Academy, and anybody else who wants a copy of it can do it to market themselves, because we're going to give you some marketing techniques. We're going to literally tell you how to say something, have a conversation starter, give them some sort of a digital marketing piece that's going to give them some free information based on the conversation starter. It's also going to allow you to market your product. So we're going to do that, and we'll help you develop that little piece of digital marketing. So let's do this CTA. You're right, but we're going to do the CTA. We're going to record this separately without you guys, and we're going to make it available, because I think rank advancing in the summer is going to be a really powerful one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this slide, for me at least, in my past of conversations, it's again, when we talk about collecting the decision in network marketing, when you're doing your contacts, your conversations, your exposures, your follow-up, your decisions, what is the one thing we're never doing? Decisions. We're never collecting that decision. We're never asking that question. We're never saying, are you ready to get started? In our conversations, whether they're random. I'm loving airport conversations recently. I've been traveling so much lately that the airport conversations for me are the absolute best. Are you continuing that conversation? Are you inviting them to a Zoom, an event? Do you live in the same city? Is there an activity you can do together? Is there a phone call you can have together? Is there a WhatsApp number you can add? Is there, how do you forward that conversation? I spent my entire flight home with a lady on the flight who happened to be in Montego Bay, living in Winnipeg, married to a Jamaican. And she's been WhatsApping me every single day because, she's all of a sudden become my best friend, right? Like, how do you continue those? And she asked for that continuation. It wasn't me. I've still got ways to learn, right? Like, how do you continue that? How do you say, hey, let me get your number. I want to continue this conversation. Why don't we? What is so weird about saying to a human being and having human being conversations, interacting with our energy, our excitement, our compassion for each other, our ability to understand each other's situations and even help those situations, especially if you could help somebody, especially if you even feel that calling that maybe you were just put into that person's life to help them in that day, but you could continue to mentor them, lead them, whether or not that turns into business, who cares? That it's all about the energy of life and what we can put into that. So how do you keep those conversations moving forward? Ask for the decision. And do you want to keep talking to me? Right? Do you want to keep talking to me? Do we continue this conversation? How do we continue this conversation? Can I add you on Facebook, Instagram, whatever? People do it every single day. Don't make it awkward when you're talking to somebody that could be something for business, could not. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. It's all about these conversations. Izzy, do you have any thoughts on this before we wrap up?
Well, the answer is yes. I'm trying to phrase it correctly. But I think it's going to require a different topic and a different call, because that whole follow-up concept, if you're doing it right, becomes a training in and of itself. And we may want to talk about that on another call, because if you're doing it right, if you're prospecting correctly, like Johnny Appleseed, laying these seeds out there, I wait for them to contact me. I don't really pursue them in that context, because I'm looking for the person that has the initiative to reach out. So if I talk to 20 people, I'm waiting for that one, that Angel, that Diane, that Rochelle, that Paul to call me, and then I'm all over them like white on rice. I had to get the Puerto Rican thing in there. So
Love it. I love it. Danny Licciardi, any closing thoughts before we wrap up tonight as well? I don't know if Danny's still here. Paul, do you have closing thoughts on tonight?
Yeah, I actually do. I'm sorry. I was just texting a guy in the Philippines. So, never stop working, guys. So, look, invite somebody to something. It's the easiest way to have a conversation. Hey, I just wanted you to take a look. I love the sneaky crutch that we gave you probably 2, 3, 4 years ago of, I don't want you to join anything. I don't want you to buy anything. I just want you to take a look at what I'm doing and see if there's anybody that comes to your mind that I could help. It's the easiest way until you get good, guys. It's the easiest way until you build the confidence. So are you issuing conversations to calls? Are you starting invitations to videos? Are you just inviting people to become your friend on Facebook? Right? What's step 1 and step 2? Connections, conversations. We're going to focus on this. We're going to record the rest of this for you guys, but we want you to use it. Don't tell me that this is a great call or say, give me the recording without proof that you're doing something with it. Not for my, look, we love hearing that you love our trainings. We love hearing that you really appreciate the time and effort that we put into this. But we want you to put the time and effort in to use it, to prove that what we're saying is good quality information, right? Put it to the test. Angel, I'll let you close and take us out. And then don't forget Shell and Tell, guys. It started 4 minutes ago.
Right on. And it's been so great to have you guys here. Thank you to those of you who are coming. Make sure to invite others to these calls. They're so valuable. This is really the precipice of how you're going to build your mindset. When you stay engaged, especially on a Monday, there's something about a Monday, guys. When you stay engaged and you stay fired up, it's going to fire you up for the rest of the week. You're going to be one step ahead of everybody else who didn't take this step today. Because most people didn't work their business. They didn't do any mindset. They didn't do any training. They didn't do anything like that, right? But you're here and doing this and plugged in. And that means everything. So who can you plug into this? Who can you help? Who can you give? This is value. This is your value. Just because we're on here training, this is your value to give. And that's what we want you to use this for. And I've shared before, Rochelle did it perfectly when she was like, text me for the Empower Hour. Like, text my number. That's exactly how you do it, right? You want to capture the information. You want to be like, hey, if you want Empower Hour, I'm going to get your number. And then I'm going to remind you every single Monday that this is coming up, right? So give me your number. I'll text you. I'll remind you. But this is a training. This is a training, guys, that back in the day, I paid money for all the time. The free stuff just wasn't there. There was a little bit of free stuff and blogs and stuff like that. But this kind of circle of mastermind didn't exist. You had to be invited into things like this. It just wasn't there. So take advantage of it, use it to your advantage. And we're excited for you guys to see where your business is going to go. Paul, did you have one more thing to say? I feel like
I did. You know, the excitement comes from putting this stuff into action. That's where the real excitement comes from. And not only for us, but also for you. And when that check comes, just get excited enough to use this stuff. Good night, guys.
Cash those checks.